Hey up everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Old Man versus Old Machine. So, you're wondering why this shiny thing is on here. It's because the current score in that conflict is Old Machine 1, Old Man 0. I spent a lot of time looking at this, working out how I was going to do everything, and I could make everything work. As I say, I was going to have to cut pieces up, and I decided it was going to be awful. It was just too much mess on. So then, I think I mentioned last time, I thought about drilling the main shaft and doing this, and so I thought in the end I thought, bugger it. So I went online to Hitchcock's and checked, and they had another main shaft and layer shaft bullet one, 25, what was it, 25, 1525 for the gauge. So I just broke down and bought the replacement shafts and a pair of the low gears. So what we're going to do when they arrive is we're going to pop that side of the gearbox, put them in, and I have to fiddle about with the length of the clutch push rod because I want to use this 3-plate clutch. A, because it's in better condition than the 4-plate clutch I've got, and B, because it'll be a bit lighter. So we're going to do that. That should be here towards the end of the week, so I might fit it in this week. Otherwise we're just going to keep going with the tank. One thing I have just noticed, as I say, everything has a knock-on effect. Because the cable for the scissor clutch comes in through here, the side over there, that end of the gearbox, isn't drilled to take the clutch cable. But you can see that they only make one cover because the boss is there, it just simply isn't drilled. It's like the first of the Triumph's twins without the distributor. The crankcase still had the place where they would drill for the distributor, it just wasn't machined. So obviously that's a minor thing, or I could use the Pashley one, which would mean taking the brand new bearing out of this one and putting in the Pashley one. But just looking at it, I think there's barely enough room to get the cable in under where I put the silencer. So who knows what might happen there. Might have to cut a little bit out the silencer, sort of put a little tunnel in. I think I looked at mine, and the cable, there's a boss that is drilled. The cable goes in there. The cable just about comes with the adjuster below the top of the boss. And looking at this, the silencer here is right there. It's like that. I think it'll just fit in. I might be able to angle the drilling a little down, find myself in the front. But anyway, as I mentioned last week, which I apologise for all the talking last week, but as I said, this is, once you all decided you preferred this to be weekly, it very much became like a workshop vlog, because sometimes I can do a lot of stuff, sometimes I can't. And that's what last week was. I spent a lot of time thinking about stuff, so there you go. Alright, what was I just going to say? Who knows? So anyway, we will press on with the tank, because I've had a bit of a thought about that as well, because I was so teed off about having to scrap one entire side. And I don't think I've got enough 3003 left. I might even have to buy some more of that alloy sheet. But anyway, that's the plan for this week. We're going to work on that. Oh, we also have to make like a guide for up here for the front brake hose to work in. So we're going to do that, and we'll do them. And these gears should arrive Thursday, but it'll probably be Thursday afternoon. So I might be able to put them in on Saturday. I don't know. So I'm not sure how long this will be, how much waffling, how much working, but anyway, we'll just press on and see what happens. You can see actually how sort of short of things to do. I polished this, I polished the other case I'm going to put on. Because I had some old plates now, I made myself a clutch holding tool for the Enfield. I had one for the BSA and the Triumph, but not for the Enfield. Well, I'd made a little sprag thing, but that's better. So, let's press on. Right, so I also spent a lot of looking and thinking and swearing on this, which I didn't inflict on you. If you're wondering what the piece of green tape is for, you may remember I said I'd taken the book off to try some other things. That was so I knew where the centre line was. Alright, so what have all my investigations and musings found for me? I think I screwed up again. These ribs all nicely follow shape, but this one, and they do along the sides, but this bit here is sort of out of the progression of the curves. And there is a reason for that. I wanted the top to be a bit flattish here for the filler cap to go in. But what it's meant is that whereas all these curve at a certain curve, this one more comes up straighter here and bends tighter. So that is what I think was making it really, really difficult. And why with this, because I was looking at this and I thought, wait a minute, this needs to go up, and I thought it can't. There's the curve. So, as I mentioned, I'd taken that off, and I found that with this off, this would move in a little bit. But then I got thinking about it. Fortunately, when I cut this one, because I thought about this afterwards, I cut it bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that so that instead of it stopping at this centre line, it's going to, which it will do, it's going to come further over, because I'm only, you know, as you can see, I'm basically along the centre line up to about here, and it comes off barely a quarter of an inch all the way along. So I'm either going to make this one so it folds over the top enough to overlap this, because it doesn't matter whether the joins along the top or slightly to one side, because it all gets sanded out and, you know, made to look one piece. You can see here that just starts to go away from this. That's what I was trying to get it to come to here, and it wouldn't. Well, of course it wouldn't, because I don't know why my piece of cardboard originally didn't show that. Maybe it was too flexible. Anyway, that's the plan now. We'll shape this up so that it overlaps here. Or even if the worst comes to the worst, we'll make a strip to go in it. But, you know, this took so much work to get to this shape, I don't want to do it again. So I am going to work a little bit more on this end, now that I've decided. See, I was trying to get it over into there, so I've misshapen it slightly. So that should work. And then we'll make the front ends and make a filler cap. Oh, filler neck. Now the other thing I did, can you see? Yeah, just is, let me move it very slightly. Remember I said I was going to get a long piece of tube or something, put a foot on it. You put a foot on so that when it's in the vise and you hit this end, it doesn't move. And I was looking around for something to make it out of, and do you remember when I made a pig's ear of bending the actual frame tube, top tube to back tube? I thought, wait a minute, look at that. We've even got a curve to work, so we'll be using that. Alright, let me start banging that. Look at that. See, slightly over this way. That's right on the mark, right on the mark, right to up here. I found the perfect tool, or tools, two of them, for forming this. This 3003, when it's annealed, really, I bang it and it goes the wrong way. But I've been in action actually right up to here. If I hold it, I can still bend it. suppose I should wear some gloves. But look at that. In fact, if I took it off this so I wasn't trying to get so high, I could get that right down the middle. So this piece I will now start to do. Right, I started shaping that. It's a bit difficult with the lights in here to either too dark and I don't get any reflections, or light enough and I do get so. Anyway, as you can see, it's starting to shape out. I've just re-annealed it. So while that's cooling down, we're going to have a go at making filler. Right, so we're going to make the filler the same size as the one on the other tank, which has a 1 1/4 inch hole and the outside is 1 1/2. So I've got some 1 1/2 round here. I'm going to, I thought I was going to use some 1 1/4, I had some 1 1/2 inch tube, 1/8 inch wall. Thought, great, it's 1 1/4 in the centre, but of course, it wouldn't cut. I tried with a tap, it wouldn't cut a deep enough thread, because to get a 1 1/4 inch hole with a tap, you need less than 1 1/4 inch, of course, as a tapping size. So we're going to drill it, bore it to the right size, and then we're going to single point thread it about, I don't know, 1 inch. So it'll go in 1/4 inch to weld, stick out 3/4, and then we'll turn a cap to screw into it. Right, I've bored it out to the 1.160, which is what the machinist's, or what they call it, machinery's handbook tells me is the nominal bore for 1 1/4 inch 12 TPI. So there's the threading tool, there's my finger, look at that. Anyway, this threading tool has inserts. You could take it off this end, put it on the other end, and it's for external threading. So isn't that clever? Right, so let me set the lathe up. Right, so 12 threads per inch is there, so we want to be in this column here and B. I'll move that one over to B, which you can just see. Right, so there we are, B there, 12 threads per inch. Okay. Alright. I can't get this internal threading tool in there. It must start at sort of 1 1/2 inch. But not to worry, because, hold on 1 second. I happen to have a 1 1/4 12 TPI, so we'll thread it manually. Alright, so here we have what's always the problem with manual tapping, for me anyway, putting the tap in straight. So we'll leave it there, because this is a huge tap. I don't have a tap handle for this. Let me move this a bit further out of the way. So I'm using it's actually a 1 inch socket that fits it. And let me put this in low so that it doesn't turn. Wow. Is that book right? 1.16. Looks like I would say it's in dead straight. Yeah, I suppose it's cutting. I would like a really big tap handle for this. Come on, you're in low gear. Let's put it, hang on, let me put it in the lowest. I just remembered. I made that internal threading tool, didn't I? think it's long enough to do that. So let's see, we've still got this set up at 12. And I think we need to do this at 45. So only alloy after all. Let's get everything set right. Don't normally say, well, I did say it about the B50, didn't I? But I'm going to be quite pleased when this project is finished. Oh, of course, I went and turned the thing off. Hold on. Right, I put the phase converter on so we can try again. Seems to be very fast. Oops, sorry, I bumped you then. Right, let me check that. Of course you can't see in here, but looks like 12 to me. Okay, let's, which way are we going here? Right, that's back to where we started. Let's take that off. Yeah, I thought I had to switch it on then. Alright, let me carry on. I've brought over, it's going to be the same size as is the last one, so I'll use that as my test piece. Alright. There we go. Okay. Oops. Come on. Too much. So, next thing to do is to make one of these. Right, so let's make the top. This has already got a hole in it because it's the piece of round stock that I made the neck off, so I want that to be hollow, and then we're going to drill a 1/4 inch hole out through the top. So I've turned this down to 1 1/4, cut a relief, and I've run a scratch pass, which is 12. So we're spot on there. Now I'll be honest with you, even at 45 RPMs, which is the slowest this will go, this moves quite quickly. So I've got to be really ready with it. I don't like doing these. I forgot to take it back to 0, didn't I? Right, so that's 0 on the cross slide. I've wound in 10th thou on the compound. Where's my levers? Okay. Missed it. Well, doesn't look half bad. Right, let me finish this thread and then I'll bring you back. Because to be honest, the camera's in the way. Alright. Actually, this just stopped moving as soon as I disengaged the half nut, but even so, short things like this. Woohoo! Okay. So that goes on there. Now, as I say, I'm going to drill a 1/4 inch hole through it. I'll clean up these threads first, drill a 1/4 inch hole through, then we're going to knurl about, I don't know, 1/4 inch of it. I'll check how much there is on the other one. So I've drilled my 1/4 inch hole. I've gone in a little bit with the cut-off tool so I had a nice edge to file the two edges so I don't have to grip this when I've taken it out. So let's see if we can knurl it. Right, let's see what that looks like. Ooh, yep, that is nice. Maybe could have made that a bit bigger, but never mind. Let me slow this down. What are we on right now? 320. Let's put it. Come on. There we go. In reverse. I'm actually getting some machining this week, look. See, this is why I don't do machining, or don't video it. I mean, it's only going round and round. This is something else, even though I've got a big solid lathe. Parting off is never mind, particularly under power here, crossfeeds under power. This is a good cut-off tool, it's only aluminium, so you should be safe. I'm not going that fast. I made sure everything is square. It always seems to go in a lot farther than I think it will. Must be nearly there. exciting, isn't it? Any moment now. I must have drilled the hole all the way through, surely. Maybe I didn't. Maybe there isn't a hole here. No. Yes, there was. Okay, there we go. Let me clean it up, put an O-ring on. Right then, so there we go. There's our cap with its O-ring on. And the hole is to put a vent tube on. And it goes up that way. I really am thread challenged, aren't I? There we go. Is that still in picture? Yeah. There we go. It's all ready to get put in. I noticed the one on the one I bought is domed. But that is fine. That looks nice. Alright, will you look at that? Okay. Now I have had comments from people who say how much patience I've got. Actually, I don't. Whenever I come to do jobs, I'm always wanting to get the job done. Which is why sometimes jobs don't come out as well as, you know, like when I'm on the mill or the lathe, I don't want to be wasting time making fixtures. And then when I try to mill it, of course, it doesn't come out right. So, I think that was very much the problem with this. That I expected too much too quickly. So this side, you know, as I say, I definitely overbent it. But I battered into it and it was trying to do too much in too many directions at once. So this side, or maybe it was that side, I can't remember now. As you saw, I sort of knocked the back in roughly and then I just went at it a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. Got them done. Got it welded up the middle. Gonna have to do a little bit of finagling here, I think. Not quite sure, but it fits about spot on. As always, there's a little bit of tip-tapping to get everything right. It's just on a clip at the moment, holding it. Get things down a little bit at the front here. So the shape of the back here is not quite perfect. Until I press it up, it goes almost perfect. So that's about it. Excuse me. Down that side slightly. This side. So then it'll go on to there. So as I say, I had a lot of comments, by the way, of alternative methods doing it, including making a complete wooden form, the shape of the tank. I don't have woodworking tools. You know, it would take me forever to make something this shape. So, you know, I am getting better when I don't let myself get pulled in too quickly. So the saddle will go on just to that height, 1.5 inches. Be nice. Alright, let me just carry on. I've run the DA sander over it to find the high spots, well, to find the low spots really. And I threw a lot of nicks in it. So I'm going to have to work on this a lot. I could take it to Dick's, try and do it on the English wheel, but he was pointing out that when he did his, he welded the two halves together and tried to, and he said it was difficult. It was much easier. He got slightly out of shape, so he made a new pair and he wheeled them before he did that. But I'm just going to planish on here. Now what I'm going to do at the front, as I say, I don't have much 3003 left. I've checked, I do have enough. But aluminium alloy is really expensive at the moment. So what I'm going to do is make the template up, and then I'm going to cut a piece of 6061, anneal it, and this will do two things for me. It'll check that the template I've made is right, and also it'll give me an idea of how to start to forming this, because there's not a lot to do at the front. It's only a sort of bit like that. There's not much top, it's nearly all that way. So I'm hoping I can just do that in two pieces, then we'll drill our hole in the top also for the filler cap. I've welded this inside and out, so this seam is more or less done. But yeah, just me rushing it, I think. You just got to take your time with this, particularly, you know, when you don't know what you're doing. Alright, well, let me press on. Right, I've taken a little break from the tank because wearing the little earplugs and banging and thumping is wearing. So I thought I'd have a little look at the this front brake hose. Now you remember it was a little bit long, and it's another one of those things. I bought this, it's not expensive, but I thought, you know, why should I buy another one? So what I found was this 90 degree that I'd had on pointing backwards. If I put it on pointing forwards, it just about took up the little bit extra that I had. I only needed to be about 1.5 inches shorter. Now, this would normally be pointed back, and of course, as with sort of back brakes where you've got a drum brake, you always like to have the rod and its actuating arm on the brake plate at the top of the wheel, because if you put it at the bottom of the wheel, there's a chance it's going to catch on things. So similarly here, you know, the modern trials bikes that have disc brakes, they like to have these out of the way, but that's because they don't have a nice mudguard stay here to protect the thing. So hold on to your seats, I'm going to move you up. Right, and I'm also going to pull you out. So, hang on, I haven't finished yet. Oh look, there's little black corners. I've moved the lens hood. Wait a minute. Which way does it go? Not that way. I'm done. There it goes. Alright. So, again, with the modern trials bikes, actually the hose is a lot stiffer than this, and what tends to happen is it works like that, whereas with road bikes you generally find that it's looped backwards behind the fork, and as it goes up and down it does that. Now one of the problems with the upside down forks, of course, is you can't fasten anything to the bottom of the fork because it's not the slider. This is the slider. So what I've done is for here, see if I can get them out. I actually need a couple of longer Allen bolts. I've made two little pieces like that. Now what they do is they fill up the counterbore that the Allen head goes into. So we can now put a piece of plate on there. So then I wanted something for this to slide up and down through. But I decided I didn't just want a ring. I needed something to make it actually go reasonably straight. So what I've done is I've lost the thing I made. Oh, there it is. As I say, we're going to have an alloy plate to mount it on, but I wanted it to be something low friction, such as nylon. Now I didn't have any big pieces of nylon, but I did have some 1/2 inch nylon. So I glued a couple of bits together and milled this into a square, and I've put a 1/2 inch hole through it, and I've also used the countersink to chamfer both ends, because this won't necessarily go up and down straight. So that will go through there like thus. That will get fastened onto there, and when this wheel goes up and down, that will go like that. Alright, so all I've got to do now is make myself a little plate with a couple of bends in it. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to fix this, because as you can see, there's not, well, I don't know, there's a moderate amount, because that's the chamfer. This is 1/2 inch hole. This is a 1 inch square block, so there's 1/4 inch. So I'll think of some way to hold that there. I mean, this doesn't have to be bolted down tight. It's, you know, it's nothing structural or anything. This will slide up and down without trying to move that much. So I can probably just make this so it clamps it. But anyway, that's the next thing I'll do. Good morning, everybody. Well, it's Thursday, a new day. Yesterday we were out and about all day. I wasn't in the workshop. It was 68 degrees, would you believe? What was that, February the 15th? Anyway, what's happening? Well, as you can see, I decided that square on this looked awful, so I wanted to make it round. So because it's a 1/2 inch hole, I thought I'd put a 1/2 inch bolt in with a nut on each end, with a piece of old thread rod, as a sort of arbor, to put it in the lathe to turn this round. As soon as I put a bit of pressure on it, it parted, and I don't know if you can see it here, but there, look, see, the glue just. So I've been talking to Dick, and Dick has lots of stock. He has some 1 inch round stock like this, so we'll just put that into a base, okay? Because, let me move you, my stuff arrived. So, main shaft, glaze shaft, pair of low ratio gears. The one bit of the clutch I didn't have, I was thinking of making one of these, but while I was on with the order I thought, what the hell, it's sort of the pressure plate of the clutch. New push rod, the little end bit that goes onto the clutch pressure plate to move it out. This rod, I'll be cutting it in half anyway to put a ball in the centre. You can see how long it is. It's what? That's must be nearly 11 inches long. It's 1/4 inch, but they still tend to flex in the middle. So, as I mentioned with the other Enfield, what you do is, let's say this is 11 inches. You cut it, put a 1/4 inch ball in, and you make sure the total length of the two halves is 10 3/4, so that you're back to being 11 inches. But then you only have pressure on, instead of pressure on this end and that end, you only have pressure there to there and then there to there, so they don't flex. That, and a clutch cable. So what we're going to do to finish off the week is do the gearbox and clutch. Right, so taking the two outer covers off. As you know, we're changing one. Well, the outer cover we're changing. This is the inner cover. It's got our new bearing in it, and this is the one we've got to drill there. Alright, first of all, see, we're replacing this one. No, we're not. We're leaving that one there. We're leaving that one there. We're replacing the outer. Get it right in the end. Okay, so now remember, we've got to get these things out. Right, so there's the main shaft, and we're going to change this 15 tooth one. This just jiggles out like that, and we're going to change this one. Now to change this one, we've got to take this piece off here, which is a sleeve. You can see it's nice and shiny, it's hardened. That goes into the bronze bush. So let me lay these down so I know exactly how they're going to go back together. Oh, this, actually the other one I had to push off, that one's just come straight off. Right, so there's the other 15 tooth, actually might be the other end. So let me get the other gears. I'm getting all oily again, look. Oh, hang about, hang about. Okay. Where are they? There they are. Okay, let me pull you back slightly now. Or you might miss something. Heaven forbid you should miss something. So, here's our 14 tooth. There's the 15. So that comes off. Oh, that's a tight fit. I'll have to tap that onto there, and then that one goes on there. Now there's a chamfer on that, so let me look at that, this little bit of video I've just done, and we'll see which way the chamfer goes, because I've forgotten already. Right, so we'll do this. I made a little drill guide, and actually it's also going to be the guide for my punch here. So we'll put that on there. Centre it up. There we go. More of a punch mark to get the drill right. There we go. You put that on there. This is, what is it, 21/64. Easy to hold there. My God, that's blunt. Let me sharpen this. You're not going to believe this because I don't believe it. The chart says tapping bit of 21/64. This is 21/64. This is a 5/16 tap. So I mean, it'll still work. You know, like the BSA ones aren't threaded in, they just go into the hole and then they have the adjuster. So, I don't know what the hell happened there. It's not. I must have waggled. I must have waggled. that much. Well, there is just too much play. All right then, so it's not going to be threaded. Not to worry. All right, so I've changed those smaller pinions over onto the shafts. Got everything right. So now all I've got to do is put this in. I've oiled everything up. And that's got to go in there. Go on those splines at the top. Come on now, be a good boy. Oh, fiddly. My head getting in the way. There it goes. Right, so that's on there. That goes in there. Pull that out. Slide that in. Drop that down on there. What I'm going to do is lift this up. Get it into the bush at the back. Right. That in. Main shaft in. Okay, my hand's a little quick wipe over. Make sure our kickstart is in the right position. That on there. Bring this up to match that thing. Like so. Like so. And then put the screws in. Okay, let me put the screws in. Now then, the next thing we'll put in is the little detent thingy. Thin screwdriver, there it is. So it has a little lock nut on it. So I've got the back wheel up, so we're in, are we in neutral there? Because I don't have to connect to the engine, so I'm holding the centre, the main shaft there, so we're in neutral. Let's think, we're working upside down here I think, so let's try and get some gears. Okay, that's in gear. It's in neutral. It's in gear. Gear. That will be fourth. That's third. Oops, gone right through neutral. Now first. Anyway, the gears are changing alright, so we can put the gear change mechanism on now. We can remember how to do it. Oh, we have the thing and the nut to go on there as well. Hang on, let me get the bits. Right, put the nut on there, which as you may remember is left hand thread with some Loctite. And this goes on. We might as well put the kickstart spring on. I'm not sure if anything obscures anything else. So we'll put that on there like that. Then kickstart spring. It has a tang on it which goes in a hole in here. mean, you've seen all this several times, but I'll do it again then. There we have. How did I do this? With a screwdriver, was it? I like those bikes where they have the spring that sort of is tensioned so that you just have to put it on. Actually, that's not bad. That goes on like that. That goes in there. Big screwdriver. Right. So there we are. And that's got our hole for our pushback to go through. Okay, so the next thing is to put this on in reverse order. So that goes on there with the big spring, like that. Then that goes on there with our spacer. And that goes in there with our spacer. Tell me it's one of these stupid things. Have you ever noticed this happens sometimes, that even all the threads are the same? Sometimes one bolt will go in somewhere. There, look, that's going in there. And that's going in there, so who knows? Now then, there it is. Now these actually I noticed are slightly slotted, but I don't know whether that's wear or to give us a little bit of adjustment. Right, then that goes on next with the other spring, that bit going on there. Like that. And that fills the centre hole up. And that goes on there. Like that. And then that goes on there. These are slacking off, they're just like that. Tighten up. I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on these because, as I say, these are only a few threads that go into the nut. Ah, I've done it again, haven't I? I've forgotten to put that on. See, you people have got to keep an eye on me. Little old men forget things. Let's spring on. Spring actually needs to be sort of sprung, if you like, so there we go. Right, then that. Where have I put it? And that goes on there, like that. Then, as I say, I'll put some Loctite on. So again, I'll switch you off while I just tighten things. Now I've got the linkage and everything on. The shift lever is going to work in the right direction. So we are one up. So let's see. I'm in neutral at the moment. That's in gear first. Neutral. Second. Third. Fourth. Third. Second. Neutral. Okay. Now then, we have the outer cover to go on here, but I'm not going to put, well, I'll put it on, but I'm not going to put it on sort of permanently, if you like, with any cement, because we're probably going to have to do something with the push rod. So there's our thing. I've got to put a ball in there, then we'll put this on with just one screw or two screws, something like that, and then we'll put the clutch on, and we're in business. We'll put the clutch on the other side, but that's going to be next week. So next week we'll do the primary transmission. We'll put the clutch on, get this clutch push rod right, the right length, cut it, put the ball in, all that sort of stuff. Put the electronic ignition on and get it started. And all the while I'm doing that, I'll be working on the tank as well. So that's it for this week. Until next week, let me think. Next week I'll probably be posting the video on Saturday, because it'll either be Saturday, or if I forget, it'll be late on Sunday, because it's our annual sort of, what the chap who organises it calls the non-banquet banquet. It's just our little get-together for the vintage guys. So that's Saturday night. I stay overnight because it's a fair distance away, and can't have a drink if I've got to drive home. So anyway, you'll either see it Saturday or late Sunday. So until then, stay safe and enjoy yourselves. Oh, hang on. Before you go, seeing as I've got that bit on, this will only take a minute, let me take that off. Let's check that the clutch cable clears the silencer. Still don't know what happened there, but anyway. Yeah, it does. I might put a little guard on it just so that it no, that's not going to touch the silencer. And in case you're worrying, I mean, one of the things about having threads there means that you're not going to get any water in. So when I put this cable on, we'll get it all adjusted, disconnected at the handlebar lever, so that I can pull the outer and the adjuster off, and then we'll put some sealant on and push it back in. Then it'll be watertight. All right, so as I said, stay safe, enjoy yourself, and we'll see you next week.